what I appreciated about the conversation that I had with the president was that we were not shy about the places of disagreement about the politics that has brought us to this moment. And we also wanted to focus on what it could look like to deliver on a shared analysis of an affordability crisis for New Yorkers.
Mamdani went over to NBC and he was asked again if he thinks Trump's a fascist.
In that press conference with President Trump, a reporter asked you whether you believe that President Trump is in fact a fascist, a word that you've used in the past. You were about to answer, then President Trump sort of jumped in and he said, quote, "That's okay, you can just say yes. It's easier than explaining it." So, Mr. Mayor-elect, just to be very clear, do you think that President Trump is a fascist?
And after President Trump said that, I said yes. And
so you do.
And that's something that I've said in the past. I say it today. And I think what I appreciated about the conversation that I had with the president was that we were not shy about the places of disagreement about the politics that has brought us to this moment. And we also wanted to focus on what it could look like to deliver on a shared analysis of an affordability crisis for New Yorkers.
You've also said in the past that President Trump has engaged in a, quote, attack on our democracy. You've called him a despot. Do you still believe President Trump is a threat to the democracy?
Everything that I've said in the past, I continue to believe. And that's the thing that I think is important in our politics, is that we don't shy away from where we have disagreements, but we understand what it is that brings us to that table. Because I'm not coming into the Oval Office to make a point or make a stand. I'm coming in there to deliver for New Yorkers. And a few weeks ago, I was asked by a reporter 3 words to describe myself. I said, New York City. And that's what animated that conversation. How do we deliver for the people of New York City?
I think that some of your supporters would be curious to know. You say you stand by your past statements that, yes, he's a threat to the democracy. How do you square working with someone who you still think is a threat to the democracy?
I think working for the people of New York City demands that you work with everyone and anyone.
It's incredible. It's incredible how evil he is. The fake smile, it's all perfectly planned. The body motions, it's acting. It's just method acting. It's so obvious. So, okay, congratulations. You think the President of the United States is a fascist. If you really believe that, moron Zamboni, you wouldn't be working with him. You wouldn't be standing there smiling, right? Fascists are kind of like Nazis in your imaginary worldview, right? Would you be standing there? So would you stand next to Hitler? And, well, he'd probably be into the Hitler stuff, but okay. Here's another question. Zohran asked about all of the times that he tweeted out defund the police, and, well, watch.
5 years ago, you were calling for defunding the police. Now you are in charge of the largest police department in the country. You have tapped Commissioner Jessica Tisch to stay on in her job. She has accepted. She wants to put thousands more police officers on the streets of New York. Will you do that, Mr. Mayor-elect?
I've said over the course of the campaign that I think the number we have had budgeted of 35,000 officers is a sufficient number. What we have to do, however, is allow those officers to focus on policing. And what I mean by that is that in 2020, the response time for the NYPD was less than 11 minutes. Today, it's closer to 16 minutes. A large part of that is because officers are now having to deal with 200,000 mental health calls a year. And so our proposal is create a Department of Community Safety, task it with the mental health crisis, the homelessness crisis, and allow officers to focus on serious crimes so we can get back to the work of delivering on this, as opposed to being trapped in a political discourse without addressing the systemic crisis.
Oh, we have to allow them to focus on policing. So as you guys know, when he was calling for defunding the police, that was when he was just a radical BLM person. Now it's, all right, the number of police is right, but we're going to have them doing other things, right? Because you know what he wants. He wants you to call a social worker if you're in the middle of a domestic violence incident or anything else. So nothing this guy says bears any meaning other than he is doing it all to attain power. And again, if you just can't see it with him, I don't know what to, as a host of a program, I don't know what to tell you, the viewer.